Welcome to the Brennan Brown's Questions of Facts and Theories podcast show. We have a guest named Zackary Ford. I was interviewed on his show as this recording minutes ago, and if you know who he is, well, be prepared because we're going to have a special interview today. So, hey, Zackary Ford, how are you doing, and who are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? Well, thank you for having me on your podcast, by the way. I really appreciate that, and thanks for coming on mine as well. I am a podcast host of the podcast Create, Don't Hesitate, and my show talks about people that have dreams and just sharing my ideas and sharing my inspiration to just encourage people to just follow their dreams and push past like hesitation and just take action and just move. And I also make music as well, and I enjoy making music. I enjoy making songs. I enjoy writing songs as well. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I'm a faith-based person. I'm currently in high school. I'm a sophomore right now, and I'm living life. I'm trying to create a lot of content online, and I just enjoy learning new things, enjoy talking to people, meeting new people, and that's a little bit about me.
Well, that's good. And you answered my second question about what are you currently doing as a hobby and things. I know you were referencing on social media and a lot that you're doing wrestling and things. So, and guitar, I saw it on your old episode. So, let's talk more about that. What inspired you to really and make all these be separated now? Don't be all over the place, but make sure. What inspired you to do the podcast? What inspired you to do wrestling, and what inspired you to do guitar? Don't answer them all in one set. Just answer them all in their own, way. Like, just answer what you specifically got inspired for that. What you specifically got inspired for the good. You know what I mean? So, you know what I'm talking about. So, I'm going to let you take it. Yeah.
All right. So, I started my podcast in February 2021 of this year. And I had a dream one night, and all of a sudden the title Create, Don't Hesitate came to mind. And that's when I started my podcast. And then I've just been creating episodes every week ever since February, and I've just upgraded my bio and things like that for my podcast description, and just went from there and just grew the podcast and grew in my skills and in my speaking. It's been really wonderful. It's been a wonderful and amazing process, just learning about podcasting and meeting new people. Learning how to interview people as well. And as far as wrestling, I started wrestling in my 8th grade year, and that's when COVID decided to start, and our season got cut off like right in the middle of the season, so I only got like a half a season. And then in my freshman year, last year, in like around 2020, 2021 school year, I did it in my freshman year as well, and then for my freshman year for our location, we only got like 4 or 5 months while we were physically in school, and during that time is when our wrestling was happening. So in the rest of the time before that, we were doing online school and all that, and then so I did it like basically a half a season basically for freshman year. So I have about a year's plus experience in wrestling so far. And I started wrestling again in my sophomore year this year, and I ended up stopping it for, family reasons. But I've learned a lot through wrestling, and it's just been an amazing experience, not only growing my skills and learning how to like move my body, learning how to fight, learning how to control my emotions and persist through practice when it's hard and stuff like that. It's been an incredible experience, and I think I've answered your question, I believe.
Well, I have an experience with wrestling because I did it in 7th grade, and I honestly don't like it because you always got to lose weight and this and that and this and that. I can't do that. I want to be able to eat my food because I can stay skinny, but I want to be able to eat my food. I don't care. I don't worry about the pounds and things, and that can just get annoying, man, and be so crazy. But, for you, it's great that you love it because for me and some people, they don't like wrestling because it can get a little outwarming when it comes to always, just how that losing weight, gaining it, losing it. But overall, I don't want to explain myself or anything, but overall, just to tell you, it's great that you're doing wrestling. It's really great that you're doing that because it's something that can keep you active, while also doing something that you're passionate about because, some people don't like to be active and it's important to be active and that's a great form of exercise and if you don't have to exercise you can still do that as a way of being active, But to get to the next part is what is your why? Oh wait a minute, I forgot. You still have to did you talk about your guitar in your podcast, right?
Oh the guitar. I talked a little bit about the podcasting and a little bit about music I haven't explained yet is there's a point where I mostly, as of right now, I mostly just write songs, and I've been learning how to create some songs in this online service in this app called BandLab. It's basically a recording and beat making platform, and I've learned to kind of record songs in there, and it's just been an amazing experience learning about that. But as far as guitar goes, there was a point a few years ago when I was a little bit younger where I did guitar lessons, and it was just incredible learning how to play different chords and play different melodies and different songs and stuff that I've been learning. And I eventually stopped because I stopped being interested in it for a little while. And then eventually my younger brother is super into music as well. So he ended up getting a guitar for, I think, this past, last Christmas or 2 Christmases ago. But he got it, and I've been playing that. I played that, a couple of times, and it's been super fun just learning how to play that. And there was a video I made one time on Instagram where I was just messing with, an electric guitar from my church that was, not being used. And it was just, being stored or something. But I ended up, playing that for a little bit and just kind of being in that place where you get to play music and play the guitar. It's just super incredible just to learn how to play the music and hear it and just learn about that. So yeah,
that's great. I'll finish off the script, but speaking of music, I really do enjoy music myself because I actually play steel drums personally. From 6th grade to 8th grade, and then once the pandemic came, I said, no more steel drums. So when I go back to real school, hopefully junior year, I'm going to try to do some, steel drum. But what you said about guitar and everything about the podcast and everything, that's great, though, how you had a dream, and literally you had a dream about the podcast, and that's great, though, because that's a unique name. Ever since I first heard that, Create, Don't Hesitate is very, very unique, and I believe that you live up to it. You live up to the name of Create, Don't Hesitate, because I can imagine you have that mindset every day. Create, don't hesitate. You can make that a tweet. Create, don't hesitate. And it not just be that, it can be more. Create, don't hesitate what? What is it? Create, don't hesitate this. Create, don't hesitate that. And this should be inspiration for people to realize that you can create and don't hesitate. And like in the words of how I always say it too, if you're disciplined to do it, you're determined to do it. Or if you're determined to do it, you're disciplined to do it. And with us both being like-minded and working together in this interview and talking, people need to realize that, networking is a real thing. Networking is not a fake thing. Networking is not a boring thing. It's a fun thing. Networking doesn't have to be in person. It can be online like how we're doing too. So I'm really enjoying this interview, and let's move on to the next one, which is, what is your why, and how will you impact others with your why?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that, by the way. I think that's a interesting question. I think my why comes from God, right? Personally, as a faith-based person, I try to rely on God for based on His purpose for my life and what He has planned. And again, I know, like yourself, prayer is such a huge thing, and I've been getting into prayer a lot more lately, and daily, every morning, every night, and it just kind of helps me to understand my why. But I think my why is my goal is to impact people, Gen Z, young adults, and whoever hears my messages, and I want to show them that, they have a purpose, that, God loves them, and that people are worth achieving their dreams. And I just want to share my story and share my light, because I know that when I share my light and I share my inspiration to others, that'll positively impact other people's lives. And I just want to impact one person's, life at a time, and just be a positive, fun person that people can talk to, and, a good friend, and that's what I have.
Yeah. And don't say you can't impact one person at a time. You can impact multiple people at a time, because
I know.
Look at what we're on now. We can impact more people. I mean, there's probably one person look at this, but in the future there'll be more people looking at this. We're probably, maybe in the future we might be 20 years old, and now people are actually starting to watch our content. It's not one. It's always more. I mean, it starts off with one, but there's always more. So don't ever. I like to always tell people, don't ever try to think, with a weak. I'm not saying you have a weak mindset or anything. I'm not saying that you have a strong mindset. But I'm just saying, I always tell people, don't think with a small or weak mindset. Think bigger. You're going to start off small. You will fail. You will succeed. But at the end of the day, it will grow. That's part of the process. And, I don't like to always say one. Don't stay on one thing. Move on to the next thing. Even if it may not look impossible, move on to the next thing. And that's what it should be. And, yeah. So the next question is, what would you tell teens who are looking for their passion? Like, what advice would you give them or tell them,
I think that's a really good question to answer. Give me one moment. I need to do something.
I'll let this out.
By the way, for anyone listening or in Brendan, my phone is at 3%, and I'm plugging it in. It's plugged in right now with my better charger, so hopefully we don't die. So yeah, that's why I looked off for a second. But to answer your question, how teens find their passions and stuff, I think it's just, the thing for me is just trying like a lot of things.
Yeah.
And just putting yourself out there, trying new experiences, putting yourself in new places, stepping into new shoes, and being bold and not being afraid to try new things.
Yeah.
And for example, in school, like for me, I do like the leadership stuff in school, so I'm part of like those leadership roles and stuff, like, and I'm considered a sophomore senator, I guess is what it's called in our school. But
congratulations.
We just help, like, so it's not like there's like a leadership class, and then there's like an ASB thing, which is like which is the Associated Student Body or something, which is basically leaders of the school and help plan events and stuff like that, and help plan stuff for each of the different classes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I do with that. So there's that, and there's a moment where I did, like the school announcements or whatever, like over the microphone.
Yeah.
I since I'm in like the ASB and leadership and stuff, I had the opportunity to speak during the intercom thing at city announcements.
Congratulations.
It was great. And at first, literally the first day I did it, I was like super scared. I stumbled over my words. Well, the first day I actually did pretty good, honestly. But and over time, I did improve it, and it seemed like normal over time. But it was so scary at first, because I was like, literally, like 1,500 kids in our school, like almost like heard me at one time. That was like great, lovely.
Yes.
But I got through it. Literally, it's just me and two other people saying the announcements. So it's like all I see is like two people around me, and so there's that. And then I did wrestling, and I do music, and I try to make art, and enjoy kind of doing a lot of things. So to answer the question, without going too off track, my question is, for the audience, try as many things as you can, and yeah, just put yourself in new experiences, put yourself in new shoes, and that's my answer.
And trying new things is real good, because I always said that trying new things will really help you out a lot. Like for me, I tried a lot of things too in the past. I tried sports, basketball, baseball. Never liked football. Never been a football guy. I tried steel drum. I tried a lot of things, and I tried this podcast. And look at this. Same thing with you. You tried everything, but at the end of the day, what's still standing? Your podcast. So we found our purpose. And I'm not trying to tell nobody that you should find your purpose as a teenager so quickly. No. Take your time. If you find your purpose like how we found now at our age, great. Keep doing it. But don't just stay on one thing. Try to do multiple things. But, if you like this one thing that you do it. Because for me, I love podcasting, I like doing it, so I just stick with podcasting. Same thing with Zackary Ford, how he said about how he stays with it. And also Zackary with the school thing. I can tell you that I've been on intercom one time too when I was at elementary school, and it was very scary, and I was actually the beta president of my school in 8th grade, so I understand you're talking about them leadership stuff, so that is really relatable, man. And like I said, I'm really liking this podcast and this interview, because you're really relatable, and you're really an inspiration and motivation for other people who are looking at this. And I hope anybody who's looking at this, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Or either if you're looking at this on Spotify or Anchor or however on podcasting, subscribe on all podcast platforms. And please, please, please check out his podcast, Create. Don't hesitate. Please check it out. Please check it out. The next one is, what advice can you, excuse me, I'm sorry for, can't really read my own writing. What advice can you give on the world right now? That's what it is. What advice can you give on the world right now?
And just to gain a little context on your question, do you mean like what advice do I have on this? Like, what are my thoughts on things that are happening in the world, like COVID related, like stuff like that, or like what advice do I have for other people to like live their lives in a positive way? What do you mean by the question?
I guess we can skip that question, because that is it's kind of similar to the last question a little bit, so we can skip that one.
Okay.
That's kind of a little deep. So the next one is how has your relationship with God impacted you?
That's a good question.
That's
God,
the final question.
That's incredible. Thanks. So, God, I think I'll stick to this question for a little while, for a minute or two or something. But God just works wonders in your life, and again, He, whenever you're in a dark place, or you seem confused, or you're in a season where you're like always sinning or something. Like there was a season where I had like this super deep like addiction that I had. I'm not gonna say it on just camera and stuff, but and just different temptations and stuff and stuff like that. But it like held me captive like every single day, and like whenever I like read God's word and like read the Bible and stuff, it always or even like prayed to God, or just listened to like Christian music or Christian hip hop music or like whatever, or it's always just kind of convicted me and just showed me that even when I'm in like a dark place or something, like God can pull you out of those dark places. Like you don't have to be held captive or like be stuck in that place of feeling bad or sinning or like always. I'm trying to articulate my words here, but I don't know. God's just so good. He gives you opportunities, and even at times you don't expect. And some people that look to faith may be like, "Oh, I'm going through a hard season right now, and I know God, right? I know Jesus, but if I'm going through a hard time, like why? Like if God's real, why am I going through a hard time?" And that's like a question that Christians have to like understand. And I don't know, I even have trouble trying to figure out like answers to that question, but I don't know. I just know that God is working in the background, and God, even if we're going through trials and we're going through different struggles and stuff, like God has given us these experiences to like, they may break us in the moment, they may break us for the season, and we may feel lost, confused, and in a lot of these negative feelings. But God is also using these experiences to build you up and give you strength and help you to like use what you've been through to like as your story, to share your story with other people. And I believe that's like that's why God puts you through experiences that you don't enjoy or that are not favorable. Like God gives you opportunities that, like even for me, like God gives me the opportunity to do my podcast or to do my leadership stuff at school or make my music and all that. So God just gives you opportunities, gifts, talents, different hobbies. I believe that God puts you in, like the reason you have the life you have right now is because God put you there for a reason, to reach the people around you, to experience the life that you've experienced so that you can learn from your experience, grow from it, and then share what you've learned, share the lessons you've learned. And that's kind of how God has just used my life. So, yeah, I believe God is just using my experiences to not only change me, but help work through me to like help other people. And I think that's like super inspiring and encouraging. So,
and like you said, we have our ups and downs with God, and that's just how life is. We have our ups and downs with everybody, but at the end of the day, we're still going to be positive with God if we choose to live positive with Him, So with all this and you experiencing this and having your addictions and all these things, how would you want to impact somebody today?
I don't know. I just want to I'm not 100% sure on the answer. I just always try to figure out things every day, learn new things. But in terms of how I want to use what I've been through to impact other people, it's just to show people that, the reason you go through what you go through is to, again, share your story. And it's just I want to show people that, you're worthy, you're important, and that, you have a purpose, even if your life seems kind of confusing and kind of just like blah or meh or weird or confusing or all over the place. God is using this experience for you to grow you. And even if it doesn't feel like that right now, I don't know, I just want to show people that, that your story is important. And there's this thing that I learned, I don't know who or where I heard it from, but it's, if you don't share your story, you're not only doing a disservice to yourself and the people around you, but to the people that need to hear your story. So if you've gone through what you've gone through, you've learned some lessons, some life lessons and stuff, and you don't use those lessons to help someone else, even if it's in the smallest way, even if it's by a few encouraging words or an act of kindness or, making a video online, whatever that is. It's a really good question to think about, but I just want to show people that they're worth it and that your dreams are important and that you have value and that God loves you. And so that's kind of my response. I know there's a lot of more ways I can respond to that, but that's what I have so far.
That's great, man. Any final advice?
I'd say just to, again, like you said on my podcast, is just to enjoy the moments that you have. Enjoy high school. Enjoy being young, because life goes fast, as you know. And it's just enjoy the time you have. Learn new things every day, and
educate yourself.
Don't ever think, create the life you want to have. Don't hesitate. Just, move forward every day. And even if there's a day that like you don't feel motivated or you're behind on homework or you feel stressed out, just know that God is with you through the season. He sees what you're going through. And again, even if you're not faith-based, like, this season that you're going through is just temporary. It's meant to grow you. It's meant to, uplift you in the end, in the long term. And yeah, so I'd say just, take life slow and get to know the people around you, meet new people, learn new things every day, try new things all the time. And, don't overthink all the time. Don't stress in, unnecessarily. Live life, try to be productive, try to learn new things. Learn how to communicate. I think that's one thing I'm working on now, is just to learn how to communicate effectively. And whether that's like online, and at least for me is like with my family and stuff, just communicating details about, wrestling schedule or, the different after school clubs that I'm doing, or different things going on with school or my homework. Just communicating those little things, having those little conversations is something I'm like heavily struggling on right now, but it's something I'm working on, and my parents have seen improvements on it. So yeah, that's what I have so far.
And like you said, communication is a big key. I agree humbly that communication is a big key, especially with family, because people in here will betray you to do anything, but family will stick with you, man. I'm not saying that all friends are evil or wicked, but I'm just saying that, even your true friends may not be there. They may be busy doing something, but your family will not be there. They'll go the whole route. The whole route for you. And, like you said back with the part with after school events, I got to get back to that. I can't wait till, I go back to real school to get to experience that, man, because like you said, experience is the key, and I've not wasted, but the pandemic, in a way, have allowed me to not have those real high school expectations. But like I said, I always say that the Lord allowed me not to go to high school for the first 2 years so that I can grow and manage this podcast and also get people like you to come on here and spread inspiration and motivation, through the internet, And I just love this interview. I really enjoyed everything, man, and I'm happy that you came on the show, and thank you for, your time and energy to be on here and motivate us and motivate even more people, So yeah, this is Zackary Ford from the Create Don't Hesitate podcast. Make sure to go check out his podcast. Links should all be in the description below. Please make sure to use his link, click his link to his podcast. And also, there's more things that you can do. Follow him on social media. And I think he has an email named teamzackaryford@gmail.com. And
correct.
That's it. Yep. So that's it for him. And just make sure to really, stay with this mailman. Keep following him. Keep watching his content because it's very inspirational, very motivational, and you will really like it because when I first saw Create Don't Hesitate, it brought inspiration to me. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode, podcast listeners. Hopefully you enjoyed this wonderful interview, and have a blessed day.
All right, bye, guys. Thank you for